What's going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well, having a good Friday. Welcome back to another edition of Match Day Reloaded. It's the day after the night before. As always, we've got plenty to get into this morning as Manchester United are through to the fourth round of the Carabao Cup. We know our opponents. We know our result last night. We know some very impressive performances, some not so impressive performances, some comments from the manager, some comments from the players. We've got so much to get into this morning as it was actually our final home game, of course, before the World Cup break as well. So there's so much to get into this morning. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner. Let me know how you're doing as well. Let me know where you're watching from in the live chat. As always, we can get your comments up on the screen, such as Chris, who says, late Owen. I beg to differ, Chris. I beg to differ. We are on time. We're ready to go this morning. We're going to be talking about Manchester United's 4-2 victory over Aston Villa at Old Trafford yesterday evening. What a tale of two halves. First half was terrible. First half was boring. First half was lethargic. Second half of the game, bang, exploded into life. DDP style, bang, exploded into laughter, and joy and happiness. It exploded into goals in the second half. 4-2 it ended up. People talking about Alejandro Garnacho's impressive performance. Marcus Rashford back on the score sheet as well. He's our top goal scorer this season with 8 goals. We're going to talk about Rashi, going to talk about Bruno Fernandes, going to talk about Donny van der Beek, going to talk about Harry Maguire. We're going to get the comments from Erik Ten Hag and Marcus Rashford after the game. We're also going to hear the opinions and views of the likes of Flex, KG, Mina, Marcel and Faz this morning in a jam-packed show. So you don't have to go anywhere. What better way to spend a Friday morning between friends, comrades, us guys? Yes. So be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well. Bottom right hand corner. And remember, you can also join the UV Members Club. Links in the video description. It's the pinned comment in the live chat as well. You get your badges. You get your emojis. Speaking of emojis, I think it might be time. You know what? It might be time soon to add some new emojis, I think. And if it is time to add some new emojis, which emoji do you think should be next to be added in? Let me know in the live chat. We'll have a look at that as the show goes on. But the existing emojis that are there at the moment, there's the Flex emoji, the KG emoji. Yours truly also has an emoji there as well. You've got the red card, yellow card, Marcel's porridge as well. There's the feeling emoji to make sure you got to get the likes up. Otherwise, he'll appear. You know, I know Halloween's gone, but he's still lurking. He's a year-round ghost, is Phelan. So you can put your emojis in the chat as well. And you get your exclusive members-only content, such as UV Raw. You got the back catalogue, I think 5 episodes already uploaded. New episodes coming soon. The day-to-day going on, or behind-the-scenes going on at United View. And there is always a lot going on as well. So if you remember, you can get that A1 content, as Flex likes to say, as well. I'll see you in the chat already. Chandra says, watching from India. Big up all the way from India. A lot of people saying butcher. They would like a butcher emoji. That would be good, wouldn't it? That would be a good emoji. You can let me know your thoughts as the show goes on. But let's get into Erik Ten Hag's comments. As I mentioned last night, Old Trafford, Manchester United, Carabao Cup, third round. 7 changes the Manchester United manager made. And we won the game 4-2. Not for the want of trying, though. It took a little bit to get going. Went behind twice in the game. But we showed character. We showed determination. And in the second half, we showed some attacking flair. We showed some grit. And we scored goals, which is what we haven't been doing this season. Of course, so many victories have come as 1-0, 2-1, winning the game by fine margins or a small margin or 1-goal margin. But last night, 4 goals, getting some redemption. You can't truly recover from the weekend's defeat in the Premier League. That's your bread and butter. But we did get some revenge because we're through to the fourth round of the Carabao Cup. So here's what Erik Ten Hag, the Manchester United manager, had to say after the game. He said in his interview with Sky Sports, beside the pitch, I love when he does these. These are fantastic. And it feels like because we're on the television so much, because we're playing Thursday, Sunday, and every Super Sunday or every midweek game is televised, you get a lot of Erik Ten Hag on the pitch, interviews after the game, and they are brilliant. I mean, people can talk about his personality or whatever. I don't know where that comes from, but I think his interviews are not box office, but they're such a good watch and they're such a fun watch, and especially when you just get a small glimpse into his character, his determination, how much he wants to win, the finer details, his analysis of football. I really think it's fantastic. He said after the game, We controlled the game in the first half by good pressing, won a lot of possession, but then did the wrong things. Bad in transition, missing the pass, one step too late, passing in behind, so we missed a lot of opportunities. Now, when he's talking about that first half, I mean, that first half to me, I was thinking about this about 5 minutes ago before I went live. I was thinking, what happened in that first half? You tell me, because I can't think of anything. It was a really poor half of football, wasn't it? It was a really... Again, a dull watch, and that is sometimes the case with these like Carabao Cup, EFL Cup, League Cup, Carling Cup, Capital One Cup, whatever you want to call it, as its sponsors throughout the years, Worthington Cup, Milk Cup. But these games, particularly in the more recent years, because it's not a competition that's particularly favoured by certain teams. Some teams just want to focus on the Premier League, or they want to focus on their European competitions. There's a lot of rotation in it. So when there's a lot of rotation in these kind of games, it leads to a game that's filled with players with no match rhythm. It's very stop-start. There's no cohesion or chemistry between the players as well. And because of that, you get halves of football like we got in the first half yesterday. Now, granted, even for a team that hasn't played with each other that often on both sides, the quality in the first half was particularly poor, really, really poor. But again, the second half more than so made up for it. First half, were we particularly bad? I won't say we were horrible, but we just looked really flat. And again, it just didn't look particularly good. But Ten Hag continues. He said they, referring to Aston Villa, play with a high line, so you have to pass the ball behind. We were quite successful in the second half. The problem in the first half was that we had too many touches and missed the moment. That's why we brought Christian Eriksen on. And you do notice that in the second half, a couple of our goals are, I'm not saying Route 1 football or anything like that. I'm saying that, as Erik Ten Hag said, we just decided to bypass 2 or 3 extra passes, unnecessary passes. You look at the goal for Anthony Martial, it's a great ball by Dalot. You look at, was it Rashford's goal? It's just a ball over the top, really, to him, to Eriksen. So I think, as Ten Hag mentioned, sometimes it's not a bad thing to go a bit more direct. You know, as he mentions, if a team's playing a high line, the way to beat a high line is by doing quick passes. It's by doing, not taking a load of time. It's a ball over the top and seeing how they're going to react. Can they react? If you've got quick strikers, if you've got pace, it's a ball over the top and seeing if they can react to it, see if they can defend it. It's pretty simple stuff, really. And that's why I think, to his point, Eriksen coming on in the second half was important, because he can pick out those passes. But also, look at that front line. In the second half, you had people like Bruno on the right that was able to pick those balls out as well, but you also had people like Martial, people like Rashford coming on, people like Garnacho. Pace. You've got pace in behind, and that's really what we needed if you're going to be playing those balls over the top. So I think he was absolutely right with that. He also said, referring to the resilience that Manchester United showed, because we did show considerable resilience, as I mentioned, going down twice, and certainly last year, that had been a bit of a death sentence for Manchester United. Even this season, once we've gone 1-0 down, only on a few occasions have we been able to come back, I think back to Everton. But he said, happy with that resilience. That's what we need and have to show every game. I was so disappointed and mad on Sunday because we didn't fight. We were sloppy, especially in the defence, and United players always have to show 100% discipline by manager. My manager. I like that kind of quote there by him saying, look, I wasn't just disappointed. I was mad on Sunday. And he always says this, Erik Ten Hag. He will talk about the finer things like tactics, and he'll probably speak to you all day on them. But ultimately, what it comes down to, the crux of the issue, always are effort. It's really as simple as that for him. Effort, determination, aggression. If you look back to our biggest performances and our biggest victories this season, whether it's Arsenal at home, Liverpool at home, Tottenham at home, or even, when we didn't get the victory, but even the Chelsea performance, I know at points of the game we kind of lost that one a little bit, but we came back and we showed determination. As I mentioned, and as he mentions all the time, it's showing grit. It's showing aggressiveness, it's showing attitude, it's showing determination. And they are those intangibles that don't really come down to tactics or anything like that. But as he mentions, those are the rules. Those are the rules. And sometimes, particularly in our poorer moments this season we haven't followed the rules. What's the common thread between some of our most disappointing results and performances this season? There's been no aggression. There's been no determination. There's been no fight. You look back to the City defeat. Yes, it's Manchester City. It can happen. But I think the biggest disappointment in that game was the attitude of the players, was the lack of determination, was the lack of aggressiveness from Manchester derby. Look back to last Sunday. It was the same thing. The disappointing aspect of it, yeah, there was a lack of quality, but also there was just a lethargicness, a fatigue feeling around Manchester United in that game. And certainly, you could argue in the first half, we kind of saw that last night, not as much. I think that actually has part to do with Bruno. His energy is infectious and spreads throughout the entire squad. But certainly in the second half, you just said that aggressiveness, that determination, that tenacity just showed up once again. Ten Hag then continued saying, he was asked if now that the World Cup is nearly upon us, if he's going to analyse and reflect on the season so far with the World Cup. And he said, we continually analyse and reflect. Now we have a bit more time, we can go a bit deeper, and we will do that and see where we can improve. What we have to do better, we have to play at a high intensity because that's what top teams do. We've made a step in the right direction, but we have to find moments to get more composure on the ball and find moments where we can speed things up. As I mentioned, we will also play Burnley in the fourth round of the Carabao Cup. The draw was made after the game last night. Manchester City facing Liverpool, and then certainly, competition you take a bit more seriously, isn't it? You know, and that is the funny thing about the Carabao Cup, isn't it? That's the funny thing about this competition, is that had we gone out last night, we'd of course been disappointed and we'd have been frustrated. Back-to-back defeats against Aston Villa, Old Trafford, home and away. Could you imagine? It would be so frustrating. But at the grand scheme of things, going out in the Carabao Cup is not going to define your season. However, once you get through and as you progress in the competition, seeing who's in it or who's left in it, suddenly you start thinking, wow, this thing's really starting to open up for us. It is. You've got Arsenal out of the competition. You've got Chelsea out of the competition. Liverpool, City, they're going to eliminate them. One of them's going to go from the competition in the next round. Suddenly, there's a clearer path of resistance to the final, certainly. And the only issue is games. The amount of games that we're going to have to play is tremendous, particularly in that February period. If we were to get all the way to the final, and I don't want to look too far ahead because upsets can happen and it's the cup competition, so you never really know what truly can happen or could happen. But if you were to get to that final, which is in February, look how packed that month is. Shortest month of the year, longest in terms of games for Manchester United. You've got that Barcelona game. You possibly could have a cup final. You've then got the Premier League games. You've got postponed fixtures. I don't know when they're going to be caught up on. So there's a lot going on, and we've seen already what a fatigued Manchester United side looks like, how much we have struggled at points with the fatigue in this Manchester United side. So certainly that would be the concern, but I think that's going to be the concern for a lot of teams moving forward, really, with this Premier League season and the crazy way as it is. Jay Ramon says, high dosage of hopium, Owen. Oh, of course, always. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning nowadays. Got to get that hopium in straight away, then I'm ready, hit my day. I can face the day, especially after late nights. How do you think I have the energy in this morning? Come on, it's always on hopium. I want to drip, you just can't see it. When I play the clips, that's what I do. But yes, so we'll face Burnley, and look, Burnley at home, they are not the Burnley of old, and by that I mean their play style is considerably different at this point. They've obviously Vincent Kompany's the manager. I think they're top of the championship. They actually play, or they try to play, possession-based football now. They largely dominate the possession in every game they're in. I don't think that will happen against Manchester United, certainly. You have to beat, even if they were a Premier League side, you have to beat Burnley at home, let alone when they're in the Championship and the gulf in quality and class is there to be seen. But, as I mentioned, it's a cup competition. Anything certainly is possible. And we've got to have our wits about us. And it's going to be a different proposition than when we've played Burnley in the past. But you would hope, as I mentioned, you don't want to look too far ahead and be too disrespectful, but certainly the competition is opening up a lot for us, and again, that's a massive positive. Now, Marcus Rashford was the player of the match. We are going to talk a bit more in depth about Rashford as the show goes on this morning, folks, but I have a couple of comments in front of me which I think are really interesting. I wanted to talk about Rashford and Erik ten Hag's comments on Alejandro Garnacho. We're going to talk about Garnacho in just a while, but of course he was a standout name, came off the bench, got 2 assists, fantastic, just energy, gets you off your feet. He's exciting. He's dynamic. Marcus Rashford, after the game, was asked about Alejandro Garnacho, and he said he's full of energy and confidence. It's refreshing to have someone like that on the bench who can come on and make an impact. It's just the start for him. There's a lot more goals to come. Erik Ten Hag was asked about Garnacho and whether he can become a regular at Manchester United, and he said it depends on his approach, how his attitude is. When he keeps working, keeps this attitude, then it's possible. If he keeps this attitude of wanting to improve every day, then yes, it's possible. He has a lot to learn still. He has capabilities, what fans like. What is more important, he contributes compact opponents. He can outplay defending lines with a lot of skills, and that's what I like. And again, we are going to talk more in depth about Garnacho. But as I mentioned, the big key thing for Erik Ten Hag with Garnacho is his attitude, isn't it? And that's really reportedly why he didn't play in pre-season, why it's taken until now to get there. But the important thing I see is, and I know some people might focus on the negative then, they go, attitude issues. Well, what does that mean? What does that mean for the future? The positive in the way that I look at it is there might have been some issue there, or there might have been an incident there, or whatever. Erik Ten Hag laid down a marker, said that's unacceptable. I don't like that. But the most important thing is Alejandro Garnacho reacted to it. And we've seen a reaction to it. We've seen a positive reaction to it. He's now playing in the first team squad because he reacted positively, because he's training well. He's a kid. You know, everyone makes mistakes, and especially at a young age, everyone, you know, can maybe have, especially as young footballers, they can have that not cocky attitude, but they can. It's a crazy world out there, you know, and the important thing is that, you know, the manager and the club guide him in the right direction. The important thing is that he has people around him guiding him in the right direction. The important thing is that he has senior pros at Manchester United that he can look to for guidance and he can look to as an example, which I do think we have at the club now. And the positive thing is, like I said, he reacted positively, and we saw an excellent performance last night, and he is nowhere near his peak. He is just getting started. I mean, he's still in single figures of Manchester United senior appearances, and he is getting better and better and better. And that is why, you know, it's so exciting, and you just got to time down to that contract now. Certainly, he's got some leverage in those contract negotiations. Ten Hag continued talking about Garnacho, saying he has things to learn, but it's quite obvious that we're really happy with his development and with his performance tonight. He can contribute to the team. He has capabilities that contribute to attacking football. He can break open a really defending line. He can outplay them. In the final decisions, he can do things right. I believe, I'm not sure, that Garnacho is in Argentina's provisional World Cup squad. I don't know if their squad has actually been fully announced just yet. But Ten Hag said it's difficult to say whether he should go. It's a big step to go to a World Cup. I don't know if that's the right step. He has to keep his head clean, stay calm, work hard and develop. I don't suspect he would go to the World Cup. I mean, talk about form at the right time. I think there's a lot of quality attacking players in that side. But you never know. There's always a surprising one. Yam says Argentina are announcing today. So maybe, you never know. You never know. Anything's possible. Let's get some reaction then from outside Old Trafford. Flex, of course, was at the game as always. Here's what he had to say on Manchester United's 4-2 victory and progressing to the fourth round of the Carabao Cup.
But the real big talking point tonight is about Alejandro Garnacho, because that kid was special when he came, and I thought he really had a massive impact on the game. You know, Ashley Young's still a very good right back. He really is. And as soon as he came on, he was straight at him. Ashley Young comes off, and then it's Matty Cash. He's straight at him as well. And what I loved about what Garnacho was doing is that he's just so direct. He's just going at his man constantly, taking him on, not scared, and at the right moments though, which is difficult for a young player, especially when the crowd's behind you, when you're on the up, and you know you've got fast feet and you've got a lot of ability. Can you slow yourself down in the right moments? Can you take your time on the ball and find a pass and have that composure and show a little bit of maturity beyond your years? And that's what he did. You know, you look at that goal for McTominay, the last goal that we scored. It's a fantastic ball from Garnacho, and he gets another assist as well for Bruno's goal. So, you know, and yeah, it takes a deflection and stuff, but he plays the ball through to him. So Garnacho's impact on the game was second to none. He had the biggest impact on the game, and I think that's when the game really started turning. I mean, we got Villa turned, we got them really worried about what he was doing. And he just gets you off the edge of your seat. Look, it's really early in his development, but I feel like his Man United career has begun. He's announced himself. yes, there's a long way to go. We've got to keep him grounded, and we keep hearing about, what happened before, why he wasn't playing, and his mentality. But actually, I think this is even better. What's happened? I think that's happened for the better. Because look at the kid's mentality now. What he's managed to do is stay hungry, and it's a testament to Erik Ten Hag. He's managed to tune himself back in, and most importantly, take his opportunities. That's what the kid's done. You're not going to get every game to make a marker, especially when you're a young player like that as well. We've been screaming out for maybe Zidane Iqbal to get some game time. Shola Shoretoure's been on the bench loads. Anthony Elanga last year, he broke through into a side that was really low on confidence, but a side that's under a new manager and going a different direction. For him to get the vote of confidence, away at Real Sociedad and scores a fantastic goal. Could have scored today as well, but gets an assist, and to have that impact continually. And I think even though we were poor consistently across the team against Aston Villa on the weekend, he was still okay as well, forced a save from Emi Martinez as well. So he's having a say in the games. And you know what people have been saying? Sancho, I'll tell you what, you better watch out. You better watch out. You can't put all that on top of the kid straight away. You can't put all that pressure on him. But he does need to look over his shoulder.
Views a flex there from outside Old Trafford. Forgot how to speak for a second. Views a flex from outside Old Trafford there last night. Alejandro Garnacho certainly taking the headlines. I do want to talk about him this morning because, of course, you've got to. I know Marcus Rashford got player of the match. We'll talk about Rashford after Garnacho. But what a player. I mean, you can't argue with what he has been doing in the last couple of games. For a guy that has had, as I mentioned, single figures in terms of senior Manchester United appearances, it really is quite astounding what he's doing in terms of the confidence that he displays, in terms of he's almost an old-fashioned winger in the sense of he's a Manchester United winger. And by that I mean is traditionally, historically, Manchester United have had people on the wing that you give the ball to them, they take people on. That's what you expect from a winger at Manchester United. And I think one of the biggest compliments you could say about Garnacho is that when he gets the ball at his feet, certainly last night was a great example of this. When he gets the ball at his feet, whether you're inside Old Trafford, whether you're watching at home, whether you're watching in the pub, or wherever you're watching, you get up. Or you take, even if you don't get up and get onto your feet and thinking and excited about what he's going to do, you take that sharp inhale of breath. You go, because you're wondering what he's going to do because he's unpredictable and he's attacking and he's a flair player and he's just very, very exciting. And again, that left-hand side now, think about it. That left-hand side for Manchester United is such an interesting proposition. We've got three players now. Three players that are all vying for that spot. You've got Marcus Rashford, who you would say is probably the starter in that position. If you've got a fully fit, let's say hypothetically, every single player in the Manchester United squad, all those big players, they're all fit. And Erik Ten Hag's got to pick his strongest 11 from that entire fit squad. When he would go to the left-hand side, I think he'd probably say, well, I'll be playing Martial up front because Martial is his guy. It is over Ronaldo. It is what it is. Left-hand side, you would say, okay, you've got Rashford, Garnacho, and Jadon Sancho to pick from. At the moment, I think it goes in that order. I think it's Marcus Rashford. He's the starter in that role. You've got Alejandro Garnacho, who, to be honest, already, I know Rashford played very well last night, but Garnacho, he is absolutely an option. Absolutely an option. And I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago when he played against Real Sociedad and he scored that goal. The biggest important thing to me was that, and it actually might have been even before that when he played against Sheriff, rather. It was before the Sociedad game. It was against Sheriff when he came on. I think the biggest thing for what we've seen in recent weeks is that in the past, when Erik Ten Hag might have turned to his bench in certain Premier League games, he'd have gone, what do I really have here? We've seen Erik Ten Hag go through games and not make 5 subs, only make 2, or not make subs till really late because clearly he didn't trust the players he had on the bench, or he looked at the bench and went, that's not really what I'm looking for. I don't know if that's going to really affect the game. Now, with what Garnacho has done in the last couple of games, even if Garnacho doesn't start, he can turn to the bench and he trusts him. He can look to him and he goes, no, I've got a point of reference here. I've seen you score a goal away in the Europa League in a big European match. I've seen you come on and affect a game and turn a game around positively for us in the Carabao Cup. I know what you can offer. I know you can come on. I know you can offer us something different. I know you can positively affect the game. And if you've got a team that is defending rigidly, if you've got a team that's in somewhat of a low block and a team that is stifling the game, and there's not a lot of pace in the game. There's not a lot of, dynamism into the game. I know I can turn to the bench and I can see you, and I know you're going to affect the game. If we give you the ball, I know you can do that. And that's a massive positive. And now, I think if you're Jadon Sancho, you might have a bit of a problem on your hands. Let's be honest. You're going to have a bit of an issue because you've got 2 players ahead of you. And now does it become a case of Sancho? Does he actually start shifting over to the right-hand side as what he came in originally for at Manchester United? Or does he have to just really get his head down? He's got a massive couple of months coming up, I think. I know he's been out of action through illness for the last couple of weeks, but even prior to that, I looked to the game against Chelsea, he was really poor. We've been carrying him. In his most recent appearances for Manchester United, we have been carrying Jadon Sancho. It's a fact. I remember when he came off against Chelsea, he sort of turned to the bench. He knew, because he's not been playing well. And I don't understand really what the drop-off is, because at the beginning of the season, he wasn't playing badly. He was scoring goals. He was getting assists. But it just feels like as the team has progressed so far under Erik ten Hag, Sancho's just stayed at that level. If anything, he's regressed. And now, you're looking at him like you looked at Rashford last season, where the body language isn't there, just the confidence isn't there, and you're not sure really when he's going to turn it around. It's more hope than kind of, certainty that that's going to happen. And it's not a case of writing him off. He's still very, very young. But I think he really needs to knuckle down because people are getting ahead of him at this point. A couple, not just one, a couple of people are getting ahead of him. But they're good options to have, certainly, for Erik ten Hag. And as I mentioned, Alejandro Garnacho, such a bright future. Got to tie him down to a contract. As I mentioned now, he certainly has leverage of his recent performances. And I'm sure if they weren't already, there are plenty of clubs around Europe circling like jaws, thinking, this guy's going to be out of contract soon, or he's going to be available on a pre-contract. Let's put some offers in. I'm sure already there are some intermediaries getting in touch with his agents because they would have seen performances like last night, seen a goal in a European competition and said, that guy could be a star, and he will be a star. So that's going to be absolutely fascinating to see. Be sure to smash a like on the like button, guys. Over 400 people watching. Less than 100 likes. We can do it. Be sure to subscribe as well, bottom right-hand corner. Do want to talk about Marcus Rashford as well, because I think he does deserve a lot of credit. Of course, he made the England squad yesterday, scored. He's Manchester United's top scorer. Ironically for Rashford, actually, last night, we've been saying, whenever we've spoken about Rashford so far this season, and he has, despite the impressive performances he's been putting in and the drastic turnaround from his performances and form last season, he's kind of been shifted around a little bit, hasn't he? He hasn't really had a period of time because of injuries around the squad. He hasn't had a period of time where he's just playing left wing. It's always been one game he's a striker, next game he's a left wing, then he's a striker, then he's on the left wing again, then he's a striker, then he might start on the bench and become a number 10. So his form is actually somewhat, not miraculous, but his form I think is even more impressive, considering that he hasn't had a run of consecutive games where he's in just one position. The fact that he's being moved around that front line in different attacking roles and still getting goals, still getting assists, still positively affecting the game, I think is really positive to see. He's still got his flaws. He still needs to improve, in my opinion, the football intelligence side of things. He still runs into blind alleys. He takes on one player and you go, brilliant, release it. Takes on another player, you go, well, you got away with it, but okay. And he takes on another player, gets tackled, and you go, oh. Or he'll get an opportunity one-on-one. He'll miss it. He missed an opportunity one-on-one. He was unlucky, but it went wide. Got to hit the target. But he's getting goals. He's getting goals. And a lot of the time, these big moments in these games, it's certainly in recent months, but this season so far, they're coming through Marcus Rashford. He's getting important goals. He's getting winning goals or equalising goals. And I think that's a credit to him. Again, horrible season last season. Really poor. Again, talk about Sancho being devoid of confidence. Rashford absolutely epitomised that. But the fact that he's got his head down, the fact that he's put the work in, and I think that Erik ten Hag also deserves a ton of credit because it's not as simple as this, but clearly the manager's put his arm around him, and from day dot of walking through the door at Carrington, he's backed Marcus Rashford. He's backed him as him being an important player, a big player for Manchester United, a constant starter, and we've really seen that. And I think that just goes to show, as I've said before, I know at the time, after last season, we didn't want to hear talks about fresh starts, but Marcus Rashford is the perfect example of why it's important when new managers come in not to look to the past. And I know as fans, because we lived through it, I know as fans because we saw what an awful season last season was, but as a manager that's coming in that has no frame of reference with these players on a personal level, that's why it's really important to have fresh starts and to start over again, because when you do that, you can get performances, and we're seeing that certainly with Marcus Rashford as well. Let's continue with the reactions. KG, of course, was at UVHQ. I spoke to him after the game. Here's what KG had to say about us advancing to the fourth round of the Carabao Cup. Manchester United 4, Aston Villa 2. Manchester United are through.
Good evening. Good evening, fam. I'm happy again. Man United, we went on a roller coaster of emotions. Not a roller coaster of a game. That's a good game. Again, if you want to say just for entertainment purposes, great game. Now, if you want to talk about the bad and the good, there's a lot of bad. There's a lot of bad.
Yeah.
But the good you have to say in a game like that, the good outweighs the bad. So I'm going to start with the positives.
Go for it.
Garnacho.
Whoa.
Garnacho.
Whoa.
I mean, the kid is playing. He's a special player. Again, you say to yourself, where's that kid been? That's a real talent. That's someone you say, you know what, the sky's the limit for a kid like that. He plays with a confidence. He plays with an air that says, you know what, I'm meant to be here. And you got to just imagine, like, cast your mind forward and think of Anthony, Garnacho, just either side. Bloody hell. Like,
One striker away.
I didn't want to say it, but imagine, literally, that's brilliant. But like, you think Garnacho, you do think Anthony, and you think, wow. But then after you say to yourselves, well, who are the players that are waiting in the wings for these positions? Now, they're really waiting in the wings. But Sancho, he's waiting. Rashford potentially will have to wait in the wings. So now you've got to say to yourself, and when we talk about Rashford waiting in the wings, he shouldn't really be, because Rashford was important today.
Yeah.
So now it's like, we know that we haven't found a true number 9, right? Because Martial, we can't trust him in a sense of, he was great. He comes on today, he gets his goal. He always scores. That's one thing you can say about him. For someone that his conversion rate has got to be crazy. His minute to goal conversion rate has got to be insane, because when he is playing, he gets a goal, right? It's just, there's so many positives in terms of, I think Garnacho is a special player. We're very lucky to have him. We need to tie him down to a long-term contract. I don't know what is going on with his deal, but that kid is talent. That is undeniable.
Shout out KG. It was a busy and long day for my friend yesterday. Yes, he came straight from set to UVHQ, putting in that work. He was filming Ted Lasso as well. Final season coming up soon. Putting in that work. Shout out KG. Be sure to subscribe to his channel as well. Recently hit 20k. He does his 5 Things Deep and his Red Wednesdays as well. Plus some fantastic, just for KG as well. You gotta go. You gotta love the guy. I do want to talk about Harry Maguire and Donny van der Beek. We're going to get slightly, I don't say negative because I don't like that word, but we are going to be talking about Maguire and Donny now. Maguire, I bring up Maguire because KG was not happy with with our captain last night. Wasn't a particularly good performance from him. Defensively, United were really shaky, it has to be said. Really, really shaky. It was reminiscent of the Ollie era, and I suppose the reason it was reminiscent of the Ollie era defensively is because there were a lot of players there that Ollie used to play on a regular basis. You had McTominay and Fred in midfield. They were protecting a back 4, or 2 centre-backs rather, that were Maguire and Lindelof. So what should we expect? You got glimpses of the past, and you kind of did realise how far we have come. You know, under Erik ten Hag defensively, you realise the difference of having Lisandro Martinez and Rafael Varane as your centre-backs, the difference of having Casemiro and Christian Eriksen in the midfield and playing progressive football and not having to worry that every single time the opposition goes on an attack, they're going to score. So that was certainly a standout. I think the thing is with Maguire, and I said this yesterday, that I do somewhat sympathise with him. The reason I somewhat sympathise with him is because at this point, and I don't know if he ever really did fit honestly, at Manchester United. And there have been issues about his quality level. Certainly, he should not be the Manchester United captain. He's not a leader. We've seen what the leaders are at Manchester United. We've seen Bruno. We've seen people, even like people like Casemiro that have just come through the door. They're clear, far away. Varane, Martinez, they're leaders. They lead the team. They inspire the team, both in terms of their performance, their attitude, and their tenacity. That's what a leader is. That's truly what a captain is. So he shouldn't be Manchester United captain. And there are obviously issues about his quality. Should he even be a Manchester United player? Probably not. His quality isn't good enough. The place that I sympathise for him for now is because he looks so out of place in the sense that the style that Erik ten Hag wants to play, he wants to play with a high defensive line. Harry Maguire cannot play a high defensive line. Fundamentally, he cannot do it. He gets exposed every single time because playing a high line, Erik ten Hag said it earlier, talking about Aston Villa playing a high line. How do you beat it? Balls over the top, or players running in behind, fast players playing in behind, or if you've got a situation, this happened to us for one of the goals last night, I think it might have been the first one, or the second one, I forget, but you've got your fullbacks who are inverted, so they're in the middle of the pitch. If a player gives the ball away, it's important as a centre-back to have the recovery pace because that immediate pass is going to be over the top or between the lines. You've got to react to it. When you've got Harry Maguire at centre-back, he cannot deal with it. He does not have the pace or the football intelligence to deal with it. And that's what we saw last night. So in one essence, you go, well, he's not good enough. He's not suited. But at the same time, you almost sympathise because he just doesn't fit. If it was a different system, he might do a bit better. Again, he's still not good enough. He's still not good enough for Manchester United. But I think last night was a good example of why he's fourth choice at Manchester United. And that's not to say, as I said before, we're not going to need Harry Maguire for the remainder of the season because we are. It's already been proven that we are because you've got Varane's out with an injury. Lindelof keeps coming off every game because I think he's got a bad back. So you need cover, you need support. But what we really need moving forward in the future, and maybe this will be a target for next summer, is another centre-back so that quality, strength and depth is there, that if you don't have Varane, if you don't, heaven forbid, have Martinez, you've still got a player that's got recovery pace, can still fit into this system this side. Harry Maguire does not fit. That's it. That's just, fundamentally, that's it. And when it comes to being a leader, he's just not. He just is not the leader figure, particularly when you see the leaders we do have that aren't wearing the armband, as mentioned, Casemiro, Bruno, Varane, even people like De Gea. I know people say, he doesn't talk, but he's a leader in terms of performances and tenure at the club, and Maguire he's not it. He's not that. I do want to talk about Donny as well, and I can hear you. The agenda settings on the way, the Donny van der agenda. Donny started for the third consecutive game last night. In the first half, he touched the ball, I think. He was one of the fewest. He had one of the fewest touches on the pitch in terms of the sort of the top five players. I think the two Man United players that had the fewest touches were Donny and Martial. I think Donny had the least. Martin Dubravka in the first half completed more passes than Donny van der Beek. And that is my issue in a nutshell, really, with the Donny situation at Manchester United. You probably have heard me say this a million times, but I understand that sometimes in games of football and halves of football, you make positive runs, people don't find you. I understand that if you don't get the ball fed into you, sometimes you're not going to touch the ball and you're not going to affect the game. If that is the case, though, it's your prerogative to go and affect the game. Go and get the ball, go do something with it. As I said, that's the difference for me between Donny and Bruno Fernandes, is that in a half like that, if Bruno, you would very rarely see a half where Bruno Fernandes would have like 7 touches of the ball. Because he would say, right, I'm going to go and affect this game. I'm going to go get the ball. I'm going to do something with it. Or I'm going to get in positions where they've got no choice but to give me the ball. That's what I'm going to do. I don't know if it's a case of Donny taking like tactical instructions too literally. I'm not sure. But you want to just see more. And as I've said, whenever I've broached this issue before, I get met with several pushbacks, and I think some of the pushbacks and pushbacks and reasonings for maybe a lack of form or a lack of performance are valid. I really do. I think when people say, well, he hasn't started enough games in a row for Manchester United. Okay, well, he started 3 in a row for Manchester United. Now I'm expecting something at this point. Or before he's not the right manager. It's not his manager. Well, it is now. Or it's the case of Manchester United don't play the football that suits Donny van der Beek. Well, we are playing that right now. We're playing possession-based football. He's not surrounded by good enough players. Well, in games, maybe not last night in terms of the players that can find him, but certainly in the Premier League and in the Europa League, he was found. There were players there that could find him. Christian Eriksen, Casemiro, they didn't find him, or he could not be found at any point. And for me, he just does that too often. He does that too much. He goes through games where you wouldn't even know if he's on the pitch. And again, that's fine every so game, but when it's every game, that's the issue. You have to affect the game. You have to do something. You can't just not touch the ball and then come off and be like, well, they didn't give me the ball. That's it. You've got to. At Manchester United, you can't be a passenger. Especially at Old Trafford, especially if you're behind, grab the game by the scruff of the neck and do something with it. Find the ball, do something. Show some quality, show some magic. And that's the frustrating thing. And I still look, 3 games, I'm not writing him off. As I said before, I wanted him to start last night because I want him to play more games, because I want to see if he has a string of games starting, if he does something. The issue is, after starting 3 games in a row, he has not done enough. He has not done enough to cement that spot in the side. When you've got people like Alejandro Garnacho that comes on, affects the game like that, different positions, different players. I know it's a difficult comparison to make, but the point being, 3 games in a row, you have to give the manager something. You have to give the manager something to say, I can't take him out the side. And Donny has not done that. He hasn't done that in those 3 starts. That number 10 position, it's Bruno's. Any doubt about it, is gone, eradicated. Bruno not playing at the weekend was a perfect example of why we need him so much. If Donny, in one of those games, had got a couple of assists, you'd have said, wow, okay, competition now. Bruno's got to look over his shoulder. Ten Hag's got a decision to make. Ten Hag doesn't have a decision to make. He has not been given a decision to make by Donny. That is the fundamental crux of the matter, in my opinion. I know people still disagree with me on this one. Let's move, though. Let's talk about Mina. Mina was in UVHQ after the game, for the match actually as well, during the game. I spoke to her. Here are her thoughts on Manchester United's 4-2 victory. Burnley at home. Confident for that?
Yeah, at least it's not Turf Moor. It's not a cold, windy December at Turf Moor. Burnley football, what is it going to be like? I don't even know. I know they're top of the championship right now.
Yeah.
It's not Company's their manager.
Yeah, they play good football. They actually play possession-based football. It's all changed. It's all changed. Vincent comes back to Manchester.
It's going to be an interesting one. Obviously, I think we could get a result. It's at home, so it works in our favour. It is just as the World Cup finishes, so I anticipate that anyone that does make it quarters, semis, final, they're not going to play in that game. So it's just a whirlwind of a schedule.
Yeah.
Even with the final is in. I'm not getting too ahead of myself, but if we get to the final, it's like end of February. We've got Europa League then. We've got some big Premier League games then. So again, that will be interesting. But I'm not going to get too ahead of myself.
Yeah, not too ahead of yourself. Let's focus on the game this evening. Let's start off with Garnacho. I think everyone's going to be talking about Garnacho after that game. Comes on, really changes the game. We've seen recently his performances seem to be getting better and better and better. Just how far do you think he can go at Manchester United?
I think the sky's the limit and then some. Like he can go probably as far as he wants to go if he continues the way that he's playing today. One thing I like about Garnacho is he comes on and he takes his opportunities. Like he knows he's getting minutes and he's going to make an impression. And to come on 27, 28-minute cameo maybe, get 2 assists and maybe could have got a goal. But he's so direct. He plays direct. He's willing to take on players. That little ball roll that he does before he takes on a player, I love to see it. And I think he had a chance where Malacia dinked it over to him and he carried that ball from our third all the way, and then his shot got blocked, and that would have been a phenomenal goal. But he's still young. He's only 18. He's got so much to learn, and I think he's probably learning under a manager that knows what he can get out of him. And we see that in the press conferences when he talks about him. Even today, he spoke about him after the game, where he said, listen, this kid's young. Like he was talking about, going to the World Cup with Argentina. Obviously, I don't think he's in the squad, but he was saying that, he's got a lot of time to go to big tournaments with Argentina. And right now he's young and he's still got a lot to learn. So I think even the manager is still pushing him to get more out of him. But today's performance, he came on and that right-hand side, that left-hand side, he's starting to own it.
Yeah.
He's really starting to own it. And even with Rashford playing there today and then going out more into centre-forward role, they were linking up well. And I think Malacia and him are starting to play well together. Obviously, the more time they get together, the better.
Shout out Mina, speaking to her after the game at UVHQ yesterday. Shout out Mina as well for her role with the Athletic over the World Cup. Really exciting stuff. It's always great to see your people succeed, your friends, part of the UV family, seeing her succeed and doing that work with the Athletic over the World Cup is amazing. So congratulations to Mina if you are indeed watching this morning. Speaking of the Carabao Cup again, because I do want to get to, because we're rapidly running out of time. It goes like a flash, doesn't it? I do want to talk about, again, the Carabao Cup and the possibility of going quite far in that competition. Let me know in the live chat, actually. Let's get this one a little bit interactive. Given the fixture congestion that would be the case if we get to the final, and I know that's looking far ahead at this point. There's still plenty of rounds and teams to face. I mean, there's a possibility, obviously City are facing Liverpool, but we could get them way early than the final. It's not a case like that, it's just drawn out of a hat. So that could be the possibility. But given the fact that, you know, the bigger teams are already eliminating themselves or eliminating each other, and we're going to be facing have that fixture congestion, that final, if we were to get there in February. Has last night, and actually, it's a better way of phrasing it, has the third round results and now seeing the fourth round draw, has that changed maybe your perception of how seriously Manchester United should take this tournament moving forward now? Should we take it more seriously? Because now it really, really is. I mean, it always was a possibility to win a trophy, but now it's a real possibility for us to win a trophy. And just how important is that first trophy going to be to Erik ten Hag, you know? Fixture congestion be damned. You know, if you're going to win tournaments, if you're going to compete in tournaments, you're going to play a lot of games anyway. Or do we need to be more protective of our player fitness and our player fatigue? Or given maybe possibly certain draws, maybe we can rotate a little bit more, you know, given the teams still remaining in it. I mean, it's a really interesting one, certainly. Abub says here, the more games we play, the better for us. Erik ten Hag needs as much time as possible to evaluate the entire squad. Just Kevin says, the teacup is ours. Bartholomew says, we have to get to the final. We'd have a chance against Liverpool, but City would hammer us. Yam says, problem is we won't have players by then. Makish says, we need to win everything, Owen. Rotation is key. So it's an interesting one, because I think it is somewhat of a dilemma, isn't it? Because it's a trophy and we're starved for silverware at this point. It's been 5 years. And I know it's the smallest cup out of them all, but it's still a trophy at the end of the day. And you still want to compete in every competition. But you do weigh up a compacted and congested season with fatigue. The answer is rotation. The issue is that can we positively rotate? Because if we do, we don't tend to win games. It's a challenging one, but that's Erik ten Hag. That's why he's in charge. That's the big issues that he has to figure out, certainly. Let's see what Marcel had to say after the game. Flex spoke to Marcel. Of course, Marcel's been Dubravka FC. Marcel has been screaming for Martin Dubravka to start. He did. He started for the first time for Manchester United last night. Conceded 2 goals, it must be said. Here's what Marcel said after the game outside Old Trafford.
For Martial to get on the score sheet now, and hopefully, obviously, we're going to be having a long break on Sunday, after Sunday for the World Cup, which is actually perfect for Martial. Can work and go to the friendlies in Spain and, you know, work on his fitness.
That's true.
But how good is it to see him on the score sheet and just be there?
Yeah,
be there.
It's beautiful news, man. I remember beginning of last season, I'm saying he was not the guy to score a lot of goals for us. A lot of people are saying that, but he's every single time he plays, Everton comes on, impacts the game. Liverpool impacts the game. He's just impacting the game right now. Even City, he was dead and buried, but he impacted the game. So just good for his confidence. That's what gives players confidence. We're seeing it with Rashford this season. Goals. It's goals. You're a forward player. That's your currency. Goals. And, you know, he's scoring them now.
We will talk about Garnacho in a second, because we can't not, because there's a lot to talk about with him.
Yeah.
But Bruno's impact just on the team, like, because he was back into, I know you're a massive Bruno fan and always, you know, sticking up for him if people want to kind of criticise him, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Did he show anything today that made you see why we're better with him?
Yeah, so in that 10 area anyway. I mean, when you're playing him out wide in the right area, we spoke to the We Talk Ajax guys, and they're saying penultimately he might have to get shifted.
Yeah,
it's difficult, and that's what's happening. We're seeing it in real time. So, you know, thanks for that. But it's just we need him in the 10. He's so dynamic. He gives us so much pressure, especially in that DM area. He's pressing. He's going all the way out. Now, when you've got Ronaldo out the team, which is another thing that I would like to talk about, you know, you just got 2 players there that want to press in Rashford or Elanga at times. Elanga took the forward line as well at times today, which was good. And then you just got players around it that are dynamic, hungry, and want to press. Bruno was effective in the first half, but just couldn't create enough. Was just a bit, you know, he rashed it. He was a bit rash.
I don't think we had a shot on target in the first half.
Yeah, and then even in the second half, there's times where he just wants to play it too quickly, or he got caught in two minds. A couple times he got caught in two minds, but scores his goal, which I think he deserved, and assisted. You know, just picking up the right. You can just see the difference. And people say that Donny's great at finding spaces and pockets, but when he gets there, has he got the end product? Similar to Fred today in the first half, he was finding the right areas, Flex. He just when it gets to that final third, it's like he gets a nosebleed, or he's just nervous, But when Bruno's in that final third, he wants to show you that he can break the lines, that he can do something to the team, and that's why we've been able to create chances today, on top of Garnacho, of course.
Talk about him.
Just sublime. And you know, we're talking about Cristiano Ronaldo as a young man, playing with fearlessness, playing with dynamism, playing with passion.
Shout out Marcel outside Old Trafford there yesterday, talking about Manchester United's 4-2 victory over Aston Villa through to the fourth round of the Carabao Cup. We'll be facing Burnley. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. Got nearly 500 people watching. Everyone can hit a like. Everyone can hit a like. No, let's see if we get 250, something like that. And as I mentioned, be sure to subscribe as well. Marcel spoke quite a lot about Bruno Fernandes there yesterday, and I do want to talk about Bruno because, again, I think it's a real shining example, isn't it, of you don't know what you've got until you don't have it anymore. I've said that a lot about Bruno since the weekend, but it's true. We get, and I put myself in this category, you get so frustrated watching Bruno sometimes because he does the 1% passes. He does play like it's the last 5 minutes of a World Cup final every single time. And he's trying crazy stuff when it doesn't need to be done, or he's trying the no-look passes, or he can be wasteful, or he can have instance like last night where he just had to cut it back or square it. For some reason, he tried to go for goal, and you get frustrated. You go, oh, Bruno, but so often, especially recently, because people can point to his assists not being what they were previously, or his goals not being what they were previously, but so often he's been the pass before the pass. So many times this season, he's been that pass before the pass that doesn't count, or his pressing has resulted in a mistake which has led us to a goal. And it was really showed, in my opinion, on Sunday, that if you don't have that energy, and that tenacity, I speak about it again, tenacity, aggression. If you don't have that, it doesn't spread throughout the side, and we missed it. We were lethargic on Sunday because we were tired anyway, but sometimes even when you are tired and you're slightly fatigued, you need that player, you need that leader, you need that spark of someone just reminding you, no, get your arse in gear, run after him, go win the ball back, standards. And whilst he might be frustrating, and whilst opposition fans might hate him because he might go down too easily, or he might be, the slightest touch and he's rolling around, or his gamesmanship or whatever, he's a shithouse. He's our shithouse, okay? You love that kind of player when they're on your side. And like I said last night, I thought he was good. I thought, again, he was the pass before the pass. Gets his goal, deflection. It was a bit lucky, but I think he deserved it. And I think it's a case of now, again, you don't realise what you've got until you don't have it. And remember, this is Bruno playing off the right as well. This isn't Bruno playing centrally. Bruno, again, for me, will be playing centrally once again. This weekend, it's an interesting one, certainly, because does Ten Hag once again say, I'm going to persist with Donny in the 10 and Bruno off the right? Or is it a case of Donny hasn't done enough for me, so Bruno starting in the 10 once again, and we'll find someone on the right-hand side, whether it's Alanga or... maybe it's Garnacho, and, maybe it's Rashford wants to get off the right, even though he's not effective at all off the right. There are decisions to be made there. But Bruno's importance is there to be seen. It absolutely is. And I think, whilst Maguire's the established captain, clearly Bruno's the captain. He's the leader. Even when Maguire's on the pitch, he's still the one going to the referee and really, truly leading the side and trying to inspire them, certainly. Let's see what Faz had to say. Flex spoke to Faz after the game. He was asked about Anthony Martial. Of course, Faz has been very outspoken about Martial. Here's what Faz had to say.
Martial gets on the score sheet. So does Rashford. Yeah? You got the most to say about Martial. Can he stay fit? What can he do? Well, he gets us back into the game. He runs. He makes it into the box. Gets the pass off Bruno. Gets 60 minutes in his legs.
Martial gets his gloves.
Yeah, gets it exactly. Gets his 60 minutes in his legs, ready to start against Fulham.
The GA merchant does it again. I call him the GA merchant.
Yeah, because that's what he's done. He's got high ratio.
Done well. Okay. Thank you.
No. You don't. No. You don't get to just. All right, cool. You did. No. Right. What did you make of his performance? And now going forward, he's come off the bench. I'm asking you a question.
You want the comment section to put it?
I'm asking you a question.
It's okay.
Wow.
It's okay. Got a goal. That's what he's supposed to do. Tapping. Tapping. Linked up well with players.
Yeah.
Saw him come deep. Collected a few fouls. Got up. Said, nah, it's okay. Hopefully he doesn't get injured.
So that's all you got to say until
That's all I'm
further
gonna
notice.
say. Nah, absolutely not apologizing to nobody.
I'm not asking you to apologise.
I know
Ask you
you're
to
not.
buy. Yeah.
But these lot,
Yeah.
they'll take fast. No, hold that. It's okay. Not apologizing. 45 minutes. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
What is it? 45, 50 minutes? Yeah,
A
man.
bit longer, maybe about 55.
Yeah, 55 minutes. Yeah, okay. Keep it cooking.
Yeah.
Tapping, scored, linked up well, kept it clean, got up when he got fouled. No screaming, no moaning. Yeah, good. Okay performance.
Nice and quick. I was like a quick teacher's assessment, quick
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
And Rashford gets in on the goals as well. I could have had a couple more, but he kept at it. And he was a threat. First half, obviously, no one was a threat. But he got his goal as well, perseverance. Because he snatched at one before, didn't he, when he hit it wide. But for Rashford to score in that moment to get us going was important.
I'm not upset with Rashford. He missed the easy chance, but then scored the slightly difficult one.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with him. Like I said, keep trying, keep making your effort on goal, and the goals will come. We know your finishing is not amazing, but it's okay because you're at least getting your shots, on target at times, and you're making the keeper work. You're making defenders work. That's okay. I'm happy with that. Just keep this momentum going. It's a long season with loads of different games. So again, his goal helped us quite a bit, lifted us so much. So.
Faz's view after the game. Big up, Faz. Super chat here from Platinum Bricks says, Mings is shocking. So glad he's not going to the World Cup. I tell you what, he came on, didn't he? And was instrumental in 2 of the United goals, which was certainly surprising. Faz talking about Martial there. Look, I know he's got this thing about Anthony Martial. I don't know how you can call him a GA merchant when that is his job. That is what he's on the. That's like calling a defender a defense merchant, or a midfielder a pass merchant. Like that is, or a goalkeeper a save merchant. That is their job, is to get goals and assists. That's what he's done when he has played. Totally agree. He's unreliable. Totally agree. We need a striker. We need a striker in January, let alone next summer. We might need 2 if Ronaldo goes, to be honest, because we need strength and depth in that situation because we can't rely on Anthony Martial. It's clear to see. When he plays, he positively affects the game. His this season, it's almost incredible, despite the sheer lack of minutes that he has played, and he hasn't played a full game for Manchester United. The fact that he has scored goals and got assists near enough in every single match that he's played as cameos is incredibly impressive. Last night, he did what his job is, which was to get a goal. In the first half, he barely touched the ball. Second half, I think he came off in the 60th minute. So the important thing was getting minutes under him. And hopefully he'll be good enough to start at the weekend. And hopefully he'll be able to play the entire 90 minutes. And hopefully, I know the World Cup's now come. And what he really has to do, Martial, is take this World Cup break, this 2.5 week break, and turn it into another mini pre-season. Start again, go again, build up your fitness, have... in the friendlies that we've got in Spain, hopefully he can replicate some of the form he had in pre-season and the form he's had when he has played this season, and build up those minutes, build up the physicality aspect of himself, and wash away any lingering other issues that he has. And when the team comes back, he's going to be really important because he's not going to the World Cup. He'll be starting, if touch wood, if he's fit. Once we come back after the World Cup, he's going to be an important player through that December-January period. So I thought he did well last night. Again, you can talk about that he didn't touch the ball that much and he wasn't really effective, and he wasn't. But at the same time, his job is to score goals. That's what he did. And that's the difference, to circle it back to Donny, is that you can, if you don't touch the ball, that's fine, but you still affect the game. You still do what you have to do. If Donny didn't touch the ball for the entire half, but the one touch he did, he got an assist, you go, well, that's his job. That's what he's meant to be doing. He's meant to be creating chances and assisting goals. Martial didn't touch the ball that much, but he got his goal. Yeah, it's a tap-in, but you have to be in that position. Not comparing Anthony Martial to Erling Haaland at all, but you've seen it with Haaland. He'll go through a game, barely touch the ball, get a goal, because that's the job. That's the job of the striker, to get the goal and to get the assists. So I was pleased with Martial's performance. Like I said, very early days. You cannot rely on him. Those days, I think back to the opening day of the season where we were thinking Martial's going to be the number 9 for the season. He's shown good form in pre-season. Let's go. And then he can't be our leading number 9 unless there's a miraculous turnaround now whereby... for whatever reason, just for the remainder of the season, he doesn't get injured. but that's not going to happen. That we know at some point he's going to get injured. So I think that clearly we need a striker in January, as KG says. We're one striker away, if that's what you necessarily believe. But Martial, like I said, the real important thing now is the next couple of weeks is to really get that fitness back up and really treat this break as another pre-season, because we're going to need him, and we can't have what we had. We can't have what we had so far this season, where it's been so stop-start, and because of Martial's absence, we're shifting people around, and the debate about Ronaldo, if he really, if we play the best football with Ronaldo in the side and having Rashford up front, it's just that's because of Martial's absence, realistically, and we just can't afford that moving forward. So there you go, guys. Be sure to smash a like on the like button on your way out. Nearly 500 people watching. Be sure to subscribe as well, bottom right-hand corner. Plenty of content on the way. Of course, we've got our final Premier League match before the World Cup. That's on Sunday. It's an away trip to Fulham, so full match day experience. We'll have the match view, the fan views, etc. We'll also have a match preview in the build-up to that. I'm not sure what the press conference is saying today. I'm not sure if it's a live one, or I'm not sure if it was recorded last night. I'll have to do my due diligence on that, but keep an eye out, certainly. Keep an eye out for a reaction to that. As I mentioned, be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Click the notification bell. You won't miss a single thing, a single live stream, a single video, a single short. We've got plenty of shorts going up at the moment. We've got a short from Bruno Fernandes' celebration after he got his goal last night. Check that out. We've also got the match view highlights in short form. You can see everything that happened in terms of the reactions to Manchester United's goals in under 60 seconds. They're all on the channel at the moment, so you can check those out. Remember, you can join the UV Members Club. Links in the video description. It's also the pinned comment in the live chat as well. You get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members-only content. I'm out of here. Have a great Friday morning, and I'll speak for you again very soon. Peace.